Hi beautiful souls, artists and creator. Today I'm coming with a fantastic topic and it's going to be fairy tale and emotional health to express your inner world with once upon a time a drawing with clip-through paint. So let's go dive into this and see how this is going to be related with creating a magical art piece with fairy tale like. So in order to start this, I would love to present myself. My name is Constanza Mena, I'm from Chile. I'm a psychologist, I'm an artist, and my purpose, since I'm a psychologist, is making the link between art and emotional health, the power of expressing your inner world through drawing and illustration. This is something I really care about because I really find that art is a way that we can express what we are feeling, and with that we can expand our creativity and solve problem. So let's dive into how this is going to be working. The first part is going to be how to make fairy tale like illustrations. Now, for getting started with the pipeline, we are going to go diving into the setting up or clip-through paint, going for the concept and idea, sketches, reference, moodboard, creating original artwork, and finally drawing and painting. Let's go for the first one related with setting or clip-through paint. In this part, we're going to have three major topics, and those are about tools, shortcuts, and functions to master. It's very important for you to know that if you already know this or you don't feel like knowing more about that, you can go directly and dive into the drawing part. And if you want to know more about how to use a better workflow for your drawing and you have never used clip-through paint, you can follow with me this whole process about especially the shortcuts and functions to master. So let's review about what kind of tools we're gonna be finding here on clip-through paint for you to get the best experience out of this. Let's go for the first part, that is going to be the tools. Those are the shortcuts that you can go and link to your own software. These are the ones that I use. With the move hand, there is basically moving the canvas, the move layer, selection area lasso, auto select, eyedropper for pick display color, the pen, G pen by default, brush, the Moog 01 is my favorite, eraser hard, the fill, refer other layers, and finally figure. So you can use them for setting up your own shortcuts. As I told you, those are the ones that I'm using. And now we are gonna go diving into another kind of tools and shortcuts that are very handful and helpful, and are the menu commands. Those basically are the most important for me, the one that I use for adjusting and configuring my own vision and proportions in my composition, such as the transform, scale, rotate, the view, rotate, flip, horizontal, mostly when I'm using for drawing anatomy, tonal correction, brightness and contrast, also the Hue-Saturation-Luminosity, change canvas size, very useful. And this one, the list at the right side, are the one that most of us know when we are using a laptop or computer, and is the delete, undo, redo, cut, copy and paste. Now, saying so, we are gonna dive into the tools and shortcuts related with the menu command layers. This is very useful for getting a better workflow and keep your eyes into your drawings. And this is how to make a new raster layer. This is refer how to make a layer that is like a bitmap and not vector line, and this is for illustrators that are not perfectionists but creators. Create folder and insert layer, delete layer, merge, select layers, and finally again change canvas size, very useful. I'm gonna show you after this how to set up those shortcuts and how you can create a new file with all of the instructions I given. So the first part will be about the window functions and creating your new file. Then for the window functions inside of these files, we're going to have the type of project, in this case is illustration, the name, you can put whatever you feel connected with, orientation of the canvas is how you want the canvas be, if horizontal or vertical, the size, generally I put it 1920 per 1080, in the quality I let it in default like 144, then the base color I just let it be in white, and record time lapse is an amazing feature that clip-through paint has, in which you can select that and it's gonna be recording the whole process within the canvas. Outside of the canvas you don't see anything, it's just within the canvas. So this is a beautiful tool for showing and sharing your artwork on social medias. It's a very creative tool. I'm gonna be using this also for this tutorial alongside with you. So let's dive into now also to another part, that is the workspace. Once you have created your first file, it's important to know that we are going to have the tools, the subtools, tool properties, the subview. Yeah, here you have the tools, the pink part that is mostly related with the tool we already reviewed. The subtools is for the specifics, and the tool properties is more related with adjusting those tools, for example the size of your brush. And then in the next part we have the subview, in which you have the beautiful opportunity to upload references and mood boards for picking up colors or get inspiration, and this mostly is very handful for observing references at the same time that drawing. Now we go for the canvas, that is the part in which we're gonna be actually drawing. Now we have the materials, and the green part is one of the most incredible features on Clip Studio Paint, in which you can create 3D materials that I'm gonna be using for creating poses and modeling. So this is amazing. And now at the last part we're gonna have the color wheel palette and the layers. So I hope you're ready, because right now we are gonna go dive into the practical part for the creating a new file and setting up your shortcuts, some of them, and then we are gonna dive into the concept idea. Perfect, here we are. So let's start with file, new. In here we are going to have the setup for our canvas and file. This is going to be, we already review the illustration name, and here it's the sightseeing, and I'm gonna record a time lapse. And okay, now we are gonna have here our first part of the canvas, and I need to show you some of the most practical tips I could ever think for you to practice with the most important functions that are going to be here, called blending layer here in this part. So I'm just gonna grab a G pen, normal G pen, with a color that I really like or enjoy the most. It's going to be a kind of purple and pinkish, and I'm just going to make this circle. So the first part is what happens if I reduce the opacity here. As you are watching, I'm moving here from right to left, and I'm gonna choose another color, for example a more bluish, blue sky color, and I'm gonna create a new layer in this section, new raster layer. So observe what happens if I'm just drawing here. Yeah, I'm gonna select another color, another brighter color. Okay, observe now that if I go here where I have the layers, having selected this layer that is called layer number 2, I'm going to click this button that is clip to layer below. Observe what happens here. I'm gonna be clicking at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Look at that. What's happening is that everything that you have drawn outside is gonna be actually hidden, because you are only going to be able to see what is in the shape of the layer that is below, in this case this one. So if I take this layer with, for example, a yellow color, and I start painting it yellow, you're gonna start watching the other lines, and this is because the magic of the clip mask is that it's going to be cutting everything that is outside of the layer below. That is a very first one practical tip. Okay, so remember that, because I'm gonna be using this a lot for line art. What do I mean with that is, like, let's for example say that I'm gonna be drawing with blue, and then I'm gonna make a size smaller, and let's say that I want to create a profile site in here. So I'm just gonna create like a random profile to draw something. Okay, I'm gonna have this profile, and then I'm going to have the hair. I'm gonna adjust a little bit the nose, and this is going to be a character with kind of short hair somehow. Okay, let's say that I want to paint this character, so I'm gonna create a layer below. I'm gonna put this paint, and you can double click and paint. So I'm just gonna paint this. I'm gonna select a bigger one. The color of the skin, actually I don't really know, but let's put darker. It's gonna be darker. Okay, I'm gonna put this. So let's say it's going to be like this. This is going to be the character. I'm gonna be drawing tuk 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 tuk, and yeah, okay, let's say that this is our character for now. I'm just going to be painting here. I'm gonna raise a little bit here to be a little bit more perfect. So let's say I have this character right now. This is going to be our main character, and I want to also paint the hair. So I'm just gonna erase a little bit of this part to allow the hair be painted. So for the hair, actually I'm gonna paint in a layer below. So I'm gonna create a new layer that is gonna be below painting. I'm just gonna call this hair, and let's say that the hair of this character is going to be kind of blue sky. This is a very not natural color and not normal. Maybe yes, I don't know. I haven't seen no one that naturally born with this kind of color, but don't worry, we can change that like that. So I'm gonna be painting this. You can be very patient with this. I'm gonna change a little bit the color in here to put it a little bit whiter. So I told you that we are going to have some shortcuts, right? Well, here is going to be the magic. Observe this because we're going to be using this. So if you go to Clip Studio Paint here and shortcut settings, you are going to see the category, and I have told you that I have the tool and the menu command and options too. So if I go to tool, for example, and I have a pen, and I'm gonna use the G pen. Let's say that in the G pen I wanted really to use a Z, like I click on that and put OK. So now every time that I press Z, I'm gonna have the G pen, and I already set up. Let's say for example in the Clip Studio Paint, I'm going to go again for shortcut settings, and I'm gonna go to the eraser. The eraser, even if it says E, if I go to the hard or soft one, if I press X, it's gonna be activated. If you don't have like that, you just double click, press X, and you can click outside, because there are so many tools that I have told you that we might correct. For example, in the auto select, I click on that, and there is actually nothing because I'm gonna use the W. I double click. If you don't have like that, you just press W, click outside. It's gonna be automatically saved in here. But if you put cancel here, you are not gonna be saved any of this change. Then there was another, the selection area. So do you remember the lasso tool that I've told you? Here is, if you double click and you, for example, you have this, you press S, you just click outside and it's saved. Another one that I'm gonna be using a lot is going to be the eyedropper. The eyedropper, I'm gonna click this and I'm gonna double click the F for having the big display color. And we are gonna be finishing here with those tools. Now we are going to have another that is important, that is going to be the menu command. And in the menu command, I told you that we have the new raster layer. You can set up as your liking. In this case for me, I have a MacBook, so it's gonna be Shift Command A. The new raster layer itself is gonna be Command W, because for me it's easier to move my fingers like that. Think of that like if you're playing a piano while with one hand and with the other you are drawing, so you must be like a pianist somehow. Another one is going to be create a new layer, new folder, and insert layer. Double click and you can select the one shortcuts you want. In my case it's gonna be Command G. Then we're gonna have the layer 2, and I think we are gonna have most of that in here. Important, this one, select merge select layers, that is going to be Command A. And then you can move here if you want to have this pop up, plus and less. Then also we're gonna have some others, like for example in view, if you click on that and you go flip horizontal, I told you that we can use Q. This we can change it later on because I use this for animation too, but in this case I'm gonna be using Q by now. So what happened? Look, if I press Q, I'm rotating the whole canvas. That means that every time that I'm drawing, I'm gonna be using the Q, right? There is another tool that I told you. Remember, this is horizontal. There is another tool that is very, very important that I must show you for you to set up, and this is going to be the option for saturation here. Where is that? I think it's gonna be a little bit downer because I need to go down, probably here and select. Is not really in select. I'm just trying to find it with a filter. Here we go. Oh, it's not there. No. Maybe in options. I'm just searching. This is a tool that I'm gonna be using, and it's for changing the saturation. It's very important tool, and actually I'm really searching for that because I've just lost it. I can be very honest with you, I don't remember. Where is that? Here it is. New correction layer, edit here. So you go here in edit, we're gonna scroll down here. You're gonna find tonal correction. So if you go in brightness and contrast and you press Command R, for example, for me, I'm gonna change the brightness and contrast. And if I press Command E, I'm gonna change the hue and saturation. So let's put that into practice, because now I have reviewed almost all of the most important tools. So let's say I have this hair, but I want it to have in another color. So for that, I'm gonna press Ctrl E, Command E, and now I can change. So hue is basically the color. Okay, so hue is a color, but then we're gonna have saturation. Saturation is how bright this color will be, or how like more gray will be. So in this case, I'm gonna have not that saturated, maybe in 27, 18. Okay, luminosity is like literally how bright in terms of lighting, or how dark in terms of black. So in this case, I want to have a very lighting one, but instead of this pinkish, I want really again the blue sky, and I want it a little bit more here. If I want to change the color of the face, I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna go Command E, and I can change the hue and saturation, for example, having it a little bit reddish. I'm gonna have it a little bit with saturation in 6, and luminosity. Look, you can make this character even like white, or you can make this character darker. That is pretty cool. You can play with those tools. Okay, I'm gonna let it know that that was an error mistake. Okay, like this. And then also you can use the Command R that I told you for contrast and brightness. So basically, brightness is how white it's gonna be, or how dark is gonna be this face, and the contrast is going to be the contrasting between the coloring to their major expression. And in this case, I'm just gonna let it in 0, 0. And now we have reviewed the most of important tools, right? Another one that is very important for me to tell you that I'm gonna be using it a lot is how to use the clip mask. So I'm just gonna go click in here. This is going to be the line art. Well, it's more like a sketch, but let's call this line art right now. So in the, I don't know what I wrote here, line art, I'm gonna create a new layer here, or you can just press Command N, and then I'm gonna click here where it says clip to layer below. I already reviewed this with you. We already reviewed. So why this is important? Because if I want this character be all red, like the outline, I already have the G pen here activated, and look what would happen. Oh, incredible. I'm just changing the outline. If I put it blue, oh, if I put it pink, cool. If I put it blue sky, amazing. If I put it like kind of greenish, wow, perfect, fantastic, baby. So I have this. But the thing is, if I deselect the clip mask, as I told you, we are gonna have this. Wow. Okay. Now, since we have styling and do that, I'm gonna be using that just for showing you some amazing features. If I create a new layer, I'm gonna be called that shadow. So in the shadow, correctly not writing like that, I'm gonna be use the eyedropper here to click the color. I'm gonna come back to the G pen with the Z, and look, I'm gonna, with the same color, I'm not gonna do anything, but look, if I paint, it's gonna be like that, right? But look what happened if in here where you see normal, you can change. This is called blending mode of layers. If I put multiply, look what happened with the color. Wow, look what happened. It makes everything darker. So I can make even like paint this character like this. But if you click, for example, in add glow, this is going to be brighter. If I put glow dodge, it's going to be also in the color dodge, and you can reduce the opacity. In this case, I want it to be a multiply, and I'm gonna be erasing with the soft brush eraser. So the soft brush is basically that is erasing, helping you to erase more soft and gently, instead of like a big brush like could be the hard brush that look. To notice the difference, it's clearly the difference. Like we are gonna, oops, this is another one. And then if I can put a reddish color if I want, and I can have a mug. This is one that I like. Look, I can create that, and with the eraser, I don't know what I did here. With the eraser in the soft one, I'm just gonna be erasing, and you're gonna have your character rough, of course, and I need to put the color of the eyes here in the same layer of the face. I'm gonna be painting this character like something like that. So this is is very important also for making hair. This is the hair. So if I select that, clip one here, and I put the same coloring actually, and then I'm just gonna start making lines. Oh, it was not the same coloring, but if I start making this for lighting, I can just press in glow dodge, and I can reduce even the opacity if I want, and look, you're gonna have a fantastic end result. You can help yourself with the soft brush of eraser, and you can start erasing part of this and have something more fancy, if you could say that. So this has been one of the most important tools that I'm gonna be using a lot, very much unlike me, because I'm gonna be using for real a lot. And the last part that I'm gonna be using is going to be the materials here. If you don't have that, you can go to window and search for actually materials. That is going to be probably here down. It's not here. So view is gonna be using these layers. Yes, color wheel, brush, subtool tool, command bar, workspace. Ooh, where is that? View. Oh, this is interesting because it's supposed to be here. Don't tell anyone that I haven't found it, but I need to find it because I need to show you. Oh, material. Yes. In this case, material, and then you are gonna go, for example, for let's put basic. But the thing is, even if you are searching this, I'm gonna go scroll down, gonna go for 3D, scroll down in the 3D. I'm gonna go for pose and character actually, and look, you even can download those characters that are gonna be like anime like. Well, I don't have them download, so it's gonna be downloading here. So I can have these characters, and you just click and drag, and you can move, like rotate. Let me hide this because it's kind of frustrating watching that. So you can rotate up, down, side to side. You can move up and down, side to side, but not turning like the first one. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. Now you, instead of moving the whole canvas, you're moving just the element or the body. This is moving like in circle like this. Then you can rotate your character like that. You can rotate like in a clock. You can have now this rotation for going to the other side, and finally you can move like far away, close, and that is the major tools also that I'm gonna be using here. If you click on the body shape tab, this is going to be the sub tool. I can make this character fatter. I can make this character like muscle, like muscle and fat, or I can make it muscle and skinnier. I can make a very skinny person in the middle. You can change the head body ratio. So for example, I can make a small face, or I can make a huge face like a chibi one. You can change also the height if you want it to be very big or very small character. That is an amazing tool to use. And another one that I'm gonna be using here, that you're gonna be watching in my characters and my painting, is going to be the light source, in which you're gonna have this ball, and if you move, you're gonna be turning the light. This is very helpful when you want to paint and you don't know about lighting, and this is your light. Yes. So with this, we have done most of the important tasks that I'm gonna be using, and the last one that I need to show you is actually done by like brushes that can blur each other. So you just can paint here one brush, you go with yellow, and then you can blend them. Actually, if I'm gonna be using MAC, this is one of the brush that I use a lot, and you can start like bending, like mixing both of them. Another tool important is gonna be the filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and you can blur completely. This is very good for making a perspective, like if you want a character to be very important, like it's gonna be very HD, and the background can be very blurry. So this has been for the practical part in terms of learning experience. Now I'm gonna be diving into the concept art and idea. Let's review, let's check out. Great. For the concept idea, we are going to have two major things that are going to be the brainstorm for the creating ideas, topics, and concept that resonates with you, but also describing the mood of your composition. For this is going to be what kind of emotions and vibes do you want to evoke. In the first part, in terms of idea and topics, this is going to be a given topic, fairy tales with angels, fairies, wings, that are my association with that. So think of these about which elements do you think they are composed on that part. In terms of concepts, is which kind of themes or genre or actions or situations are going to be happening within your idea. In my case, it was about farewell, reincarnation, transmigration, souls, hugs, romance, love through time, suicide, mental and emotional health. I put all of those topics because there are topics, for example, the suicide are topics we don't talk about generally, and it's happening. It's something that we can work through art, because we need to express what we have inside. We must express our inner world in order to be able to see a different perspective of life. So I wanted to put this within my concept. In terms of mood, is how do you want to make others feel. In this case, I want it to be dreamy, magical, hopeful, welcoming, breathtaking, and breath-giving. And for emotions, is what do I want to express and people connect with in their inner self. In my case, I want people, when they see my pictures, my artwork, my illustration, my fairy tale illustration, they feel kind of a mixture of peace, sorrow, hope, magic, opportunity, and acceptance. Now for you, the questions are the same that I did for me. In my process was, what is a fairy tale for me? What kind of fairy tale stories do I want to see? What can nourish me right now? So to reply this question in my own journey that you are following right now, when I asked myself what is a fairy tale for me, I really thought and I really think that a fairy tale is a creative way to talk about the unspoken and painful thoughts and situations in life that can be told by drawing and with magic. What kind of fairy tale story do I want to see? Well, I really want to see a fairy tale related with depression and mental health, but also with romance. I love romance, but I would love to see a fairy tale related with overcoming certain situation. And what kind of nourish me right now? I think I need magic. So for you, my dear, the questions will be, what is a fairy tale for you? What kind of fairy tale stories do you want to see? And what can nourish you right now? Also, we are going to have those two main applications, softwares. I don't know actually the name of what are they, but I use them a lot in the Moodboard, and one of them is Pinterest and the second one is Pure Ref. In terms of the reference and Moodboard, I have written here the ideas, topic, concept. Basically, we are going to have let's count with me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We are going to have 7 sections in the Moodboard that I'm going to invite you to have also when you have or when you are creating your own artwork. And this is with the sole purpose of making your creativity go beyond your expectations. So what must contain those 7 things in the Moodboard? The first is elements. Which kind of elements, objects, or fabric are related with the topic you have chosen? Then we have the backgrounds, that is going to be in where do you want this to happen? What is going to be the surrounding? In terms of poses, it's how do you want these characters behaves and move? The outfits is of course what they are going to be willing to use or to dress, because you see, this could be a very beautiful chance to wonder and ask yourself, where do you want to go, where do you want to explore, and what do you want to wear? Then also we are going to have the light. It's important to have the lighting and the shadow working properly, and for that I'm going to be using the 3D modelings. Then we are going to have the style of the painting. I want it to be more like anime style, but at the same time original by myself. And finally, the scenes. What do you want to make those characters be interacted about with? Do you want those characters be talking, dancing, kissing, hugging? So it's very important for you to get the psychology part of how they are going to be interacting or not interacting each other. In my case, the elements are going to be wings, the background, the sky, night, the poses like kind of Greek statues, like giving bless. The lighting, I like it being blue and purple. The outfits, I really like the Hanfu traditional Chinese clothing. Scenes, I want like a scene similar to the night out. And finally, and not least, the style of painting. Of course, I wanted it more anime style. One of my favorite brushes that I'm going to be using, and I want to let you know, are one called Mach-01 and G-Pen. G-Pen is a free software that you can be used, and Mach-01 is from the Cafe Cat, the Cat Cafe. Sketches that we are going to be using here, the first part is draw from your imagination, like really whatever it comes to your mind, to your heart, just do it, doodle that, and then we are gonna get inspired and referenced by observing and contemplating others. And at the end is going to be the path number 3, that is visualize what do you want to evoke, and then search poses or references, and also then go back to mix your ideas with the references. So here you're gonna go for the first part of the sketching, and you're gonna be observing the whole process from beginning to the end of this beautiful journey. And have a beautiful time, enjoy alongside with me, and see you in another video. Let's start then the process of drawing. This is going to be my idea, the thing that I've been thinking about when I was envisioning about the fairy tale and this is basically a story of my grandmother having and holding a needle over my hair, over my head, and she's just like a fairy for me. She's like someone who is there for me, just caring and giving love. And I just wonder about how to make this more interesting and appealing in that camera movement. And for that we have an answer, and that is the 3D assets from Canvas-Workspace-Shortcut Paint. It's a feature that is really fantastic, because in that you can click and drag some characters. So you go here in the 3D assets, you go bodies, you take the body to click and drag, and voila, you have just like a body. You have a figurine, you have a mannequin. And I wanted to have 2 characters because it's me and my grandmother, so I just click and drag. I need to take the last option there for me, put the 2 of them together. And now this is the funny part of this. You can adjust the body type by clicking in configuration, and as you can see, I can make the characters like smaller. This is going to be thinner because my grandmother is thinner with a smaller head. And the most beautiful part of the 3D asset is that you can change everything that you want about the character body type. This really reminds me another video game, oops, for playing. And it's everything about how to customize your character designs, and in this case it's just for the purpose of posing for your drawing and inspiration. So now I'm searching a reference of what kind of posing can be good for my characters, taking in consideration my own reference. I'm gonna start first playing with hands for you to see how this works. So we are going to find one hand that find interesting, and we're gonna this one. You click and drag, but it should be like inside of the body, not like that, like really inside. Like you take the hand in the same layer, and you saw it changed the hand. It like automatically changed. The same with posing. I'm gonna take this pose, I click and drag, and voila, you are going to have that posing. And now this one, I think there was another posing very similar for the one that I was envisioning, and it's like a character sit down, like this one. So right now I have the two characters performing the acting. Now I just need to set them up, like it's like directing. I feel like a director, and I feel like managing the whole life. So now I'm just moving this character to have a more and deeper connection with sorrow, and like can kind of being attached to ground, to looking down. So I'm gonna try to change some hands over there, like to be like the hand like just touching barely the ground. I'm gonna be changing and adjusting the arms, and the most important and like part of the modeling with Canvas-Workspace Paint assets in 3D is that you can analyze how your joints works. You have proprioception, is where you feel yourself, you feel your body, and you can move even the finger, every phalange of these characters you can move, even the phalange of the toes. Now I'm gonna set up the character that is gonna be representing the fairy, my grandmother, and for that I want this character to be touching me, and right now it's looking very stiff because they are models, they are not breathing yet, they are not alive. It's up to us to give movement. So how do we give movements and more dynamic is just by making curves. Every time we are making curves, like for example a curving back, you are giving the sense of life, the sense of movement. When you make something stiff and stand up and very erect, it is like still, something that is not moving, not alive. So again, remember, but to making dynamic poses, make sure to have curving poses in the side. In this case, it's going to be the back. I'm gonna adjust a little bit the size of this character. I think I'm maybe gonna come back. I'm just gonna stay with the first one. And I've noticed that this character is not touching the ground, it was like floating. I'm just gonna take this to the ground. I'm gonna adjust a little bit of the posing. Sometimes it's hard for me even to move that because I'm not that used to move everything from the pelvis, for example. And this really kind of imitate physics. It's tried to. It's like artificial intelligence, but at the same time it requires for you to move. I'm making this character touching her heart, but probably I'm gonna change that at some point, touching her wings, because what I want is her to feel in the emptiness of not having wings, but at the same time the warmth of this fairy, giving her like the magic and the bless, like the when you have those kings or queens giving the oath for their knights. So in one hand she's going to be holding a pendulum. I could have anything here. I could have a carrot, she could have holding a ball, she could have been holding a brush here, but for me I wanted to have mystical, I wanted to be esoteric, and because of that I choose a pendulum. Because in the original story, like in the original experience, my grandmother was holding a needle for me to feel my body and start with very small stimulus, but in this case, instead of a needle, I wanted to be a pendulum. So, you know, I associate pendulum with truth. I associate pendulum with figuring out something, with clarify your path. And for me, the path of touching, the path of hugging was clarified by the kindness and love and tenderness and patience of my grandmother. So this is the representation of the posing, and now is going to be time for making the other part that is going to be analyzing a little bit more of lighting and shadows. So come with me, we're going to analyze a little bit about this. And you come here and you go to light source, and you're going to have this ball in which you can like change 360, and you notice now that something is changing, and is not the body, not this posing, but it's changing the light source. So the shadowing is changed position. It's like basically having the power to move the sun and to move the sun through, or move the earth around the sun, and you're going to be having a different shadowing. So I'm just trying to find the shadow that gives me the most of light in the middle, because when I envision this composition and this dialogue between those two characters, I want the pendulum becomes the light source. So if the pendulums become the light source, that means that the side view of this character standing up must to hold the biggest light, the highest and stronger light. I think this is going to make that. So we have finished with the lighting. This is going to be the light and shadow composition. This is going to be very, very helpful for us after when we start the process of painting. So let's check out the next steps, that is going to be the understanding of drawing. And for that, we're going to start with some. The line of action is basically where we are going to see the movement of this character, where it's coming from to where. So generally we start from the head going to the toe, and where is this character holding the biggest strength in their leg. So this case is going to be the right leg. This character is looking down, the arms are like moving, they are like rotating a little bit. And now for the second character, we're gonna see that also the torso is turning a little bit, it's like curving. We're going to see the line of action for the arms, and it's basically again like making a stick figure. The line of action for me, it's I realize how the movement is, but also simplify in such a way that you see how is the composition. So this is what we can call a stick figure, or a stick man, a stick woman, a stick person. Now the second part of this is going to be making the 3D shape for that. So we're going to have 7 components, actually 8. The 8 components of the 3D shape is going to be the head, the neck, the chest, the torso. We're going to have the pelvis, the arms, the hand. We are going to have also the legs, and of course in the legs we're going to have the thigh and the shank, and finally we are going to have the feet. So again is head, neck, chest, torso, pelvis, arm, hand and legs. Now we're gonna do the same for this other character. Head, neck, chest, arms, hand, torso, pelvis, legs and feet. Yes. Now I'm gonna take this whole drawing, I'm gonna make it smaller and put it just behind or below the previous one. And now this is the interesting part in which we must create this by ourselves. That means that we are going to be reproducing what we were observing. I'm doing now the stick figure or the line of action just by drawing the movement of this character, trying to follow in the reference but also my previous exercise of the tracing over. Now I'm going to do my own version of this character, of this person holding her hand. Now that we have that, the next steps is doing or transforming this into the 3D shapes. In my case, I'm gonna be skipping the 3D shape because I'm really studying a lot of that, but I'm gonna go instead of the actual drawing. If you ever want to see the 3D shape or how to transform between the stick figure to 3D shape and then to the actual features of a body, a human body, let me know so I can give a proper explanation on how I do that for you all, because for today I'm just going to be focusing about how to make this in a fairy tale like. But again, you are always welcome to ask for new tutorials and ask for new advices. For keep expressing you about why fantasy and mental and emotional health is related while I'm drawing the line of these characters, it's because the expression is one of the biggest key for emotional health. When we feel stuck, when we feel that we cannot breathe or we cannot go out from a situation, that leads to the feeling or the sensation of anguish, feeling that we are not breathing, something is not moving, we feel stuck. So there are so many ways for us to keep flowing, to keep letting go and releasing emotions. It could be through our liquids in our body, like for example when we cry or when we run and we are sweating, but also it's when we talk. When we talk, we are moving things, we are putting things that were inside of our world, this time outside. And at the same time, we have another beauty tool. This beautiful tool is called art. Art is the key for us to express our inner world. In this case, I'm mixing an experience that I told you before. This is an experience of learning how to touch again, how to hug again with fairy tales. I really love fairy tales because I can tell things that might be not sociable, acceptable, or socially easy to talk about, but in a fairy tale we can talk about them because we can use magic and fantasy to combine reality with something that is beyond our imagination. In this case, is the power of someone who is holding a pendulum and not a carrot to guide my path, to help me about how to feel others again, how to be connected with people in a physical way. And I'm using here also some traditional handful clothing from China, and at the same time I've been observing a lot of references of dancers who are moving with very flowy fabrics. So I'm gonna be drawing some of those fabric movements, so you're gonna see kind of a very dynamic movement. And this is not just from my imagination. I get this idea from my imagination of something moving, something flowing, something that was like just moving through the air. But for make my drawings more accurate, more dynamic and more realistic, but at the same time more cool yeah, more cool, I need to see references. I want to express to you that time ago I never actually saw references in my life. I never searched for them. I thought that everything must have came from my mind. Here I'm just adjusting the size for the canvas that is going to be 1920 and 1080. So I never used to have a reference because I thought the creative process was just through yourself with nothing that interferes or nothing that can change your thoughts. But while more I observe artists, while more I talk with friends who are artists or has been so long in this art field, I realized that that thinking of mine was actually very it was like coming from the ego, coming from the thing I want to do something original and I don't want to see anything else. But now I understand that when we start observing things, when we are contemplating life, we are start having developed the art of contemplation, and that is something that can expand our world. Right now, what I'm doing here for connecting to is I'm drawing the outline, I'm cleaning up my drawing by adding more details and more cleaning way. And I really like this process too. I really think, my dears, that art is a school of meditation. when we are drawing, we can also feel connected with the present, because we are here, we are drawing, but at the same time we are in the whole world, taking reference, inspiration. We are thinking about multiple things that might be paradox or might be in contradiction. We are improving our Janistic thoughts, that is where you conceive two ideas that might be very different, like even opposite, but you are connecting them, you are linking them to something unique, and that's art. So when we are start drawing, when we start having a composition of a storytelling, what we are doing is that we are combining a real experience in our life or someone's life, and putting into the key of fantasy. And what is fantasy? Fantasy is allowing ourselves to dream, but also dreaming is real. Like, we dream every night. Some of us might remember every dream, some of us might not remember our dreams, but we have access to that world. But when we are awake, it seems that we forget that we have a beautiful world out there to explore and to create or co-create. So I invite you to explore also your inner worlds, get references if you want to grow up and expand your art skill. But if you just want to use art for expressing yourself and not having a technical growing up, just allow yourself to take your pen or take your pencil and allow yourself to express, because even if we erase, we are going to be remembering our mistakes or things that already happened. And as you can see here, for example, when I'm painting, this brush has a transparency, so if I make a mistake or I overlap the painting, even if I erase, that won't be gone. The only thing that I have is redraw over. So this is another pillar of mental health and emotional health, that is called resilience. And one of the key factors of resilience is be able to come back from your present to do something different in your present to your future. So that's what we are doing here right now. I'm just observing things and changing, taking in consideration my previous past. What I already done, I'm transforming. I'm just letting this to change, to bloom. As you can see, the original drawing was more white, and I just put in this now more dark. What I'm doing right now too is I just use the clip mask for painting the outline part in a more kind of orange and brownish side, because I didn't want to be the skin outside or outline be black, because I just find it more aesthetic to be closer to the coloring of the skin color. In this case, is like kind of I could say pinkish orange. In here now I'm drawing just the wings, and I'm just wondering if I should put them white, but I think that a little bit darker, yes. Now I'm just clicking and drag like with the eyedrop, the coloring. I'm just painting the coloring. As you can see, the technique that I use is more like watercolor. I love watercolor because it's like mixing things together and they could combine to give a third result, and for me that's more beauty, more creativity, more romantic. I'm using also a lot of the Hue-Saturation-Luminosity tool for observing how this change if I modify some of the values here, because it can really make a difference. I'm just going to use that for now, okay? And I'm gonna change the blending mode of this canvas. So from normal, let's go to glow dodge, and you see that the glow dodge gives the effect of like it's shine like a diamond. It gives the effect of glass. It gives the effect of crystal and like magic. I really love the glow dodge blending mode for in Canvas Studio Paint. Now I'm just taking the whole drawing and the whole this is called clothing, yes, and putting it a little bit darker. So I'm just gonna play again with luminosity, hue, and saturation. As I told you, I'm gonna play a lot with hue, saturation, and luminosity, because it's just something that I enjoy so much, observing how things transform and to change. And also you can play a lot with the blending mode. I invite you, my dear, to explore as much as you want Canvas Studio Paint features, because right now you have a certain a certain idea or vision. But when you nourish and cultivate your vision with more updating softwares and more updating tools, you can get access to a higher level of creation. At the same time, you don't need to have the ultimate tools or things for create amazing artwork, but this really helps your creativity process, really helps. Yes, you saw before the 3D assets on Clip Studio Paint. It's awesome. It just helped you to, or in this case it helped me to get an idea about not only the posing and move the camera angle, but also the light and shadow. So which other software can allow you to just draw but at the same time have 3D models that you can affect the lighting, and then you can handly paint this, well, 2D hand paint this. I'm a Clip Studio lover. Yes, I just love this so much because it just feels so easy to draw and to paint. Now what we are doing, my dears, is painting the whole body of the next character, that is the one holding her shoulder, because I told you this is storytelling. I should not tell you exactly, but my idea, well, the idea of a creation is that the creation can talk by themselves. But if you are doing this with the purpose of expressing yourself, you can add grading, you can add a reflection, you can add like a letter, like you can play with everything you want. In this case, I want this character to hold her shoulder or her back as a reminder that once upon a time she had a wing that is no longer there, but she still is pure. She still is magic. She still contains magic, and this magic that she has forgotten is being reminded by her grandmother's fairy. Yes, my grandmother's Isabel. That I really love her. I just saw her today. Yeah, so beautiful hair, so nice, so sweet. So I'm just adjusting right now more the body. I'm just adjusting the face that I was not convinced at all, so I'm just changing some features. And also I'm gonna be playing with creating a new layer in a multiply, painting everything dark, erasing a little bit, and again creating a new layer for painting with the glow dodge, erasing, and I'm gonna be playing with this combo. So just, my friend, remember this combo number 1: layer in a multiply color, then erasing the part you want to shine, and then another layer in the glow dodge. You paint this, and with the soft erase you erase the edges, and then you start playing with the eraser and the opacity. So as you can see here, I'm just doing that combo over and over again: multiply layer and glow, multiply and glow, and the middle in between of those is the eraser tool, the softest eraser, so you can combine the shadow of the multiply layer with the lighting and a sparkle of the glow. And personally speaking, I'm a Libra. I'm from September. Well, I'm just a human being, but I really love about talking about balance. I really love being immersed in the world of two opposites that are like connecting. I really love encounters, and this is an encounter. Of course, my favorite topic is always romance, but I think romance and love could be beyond than just a romantic lover relationship. It could be the deep connection with another human being that genuinely cares about you, and that is tender and is caring, and you can feel cuddling and love, cuddling, tenderness, cuteness, supporting. For me, all of that represent my grandmother Isabel. That's why she's my fairy tale. Now again, I'm doing the same combo. As you could see, it's just like multiply layer, erase in the middle, I'm putting the glow dodge, and then erasing. Also for the flowers, I didn't mention, but the flowers I just copy paste them, put it in a little bit of a screen blending mode or soft light, and then I just use the Gaussian blur to make it like breathing and like vibing. So again, I'm coming back to the combo. You are observing, and you're gonna be observing in the whole thing, the combo. And the combo is just about glow dodge, erase, multiply layer, erase, like this. Then multiply again, and painting, and erase. And now I'm gonna clip a mask to paint the whole characters. And this is for behind, this is in the background. I'm just erasing a little bit more for make this character more connected with the background. Now I'm painting behind the light source. I really like having lighting because lighting is like, it's like magic, right? So here I'm just having the lighting source. And for this part specifically, I'm using a lot the glow dodge. The glow dodge is the key that I use a lot for making things sparkle and being alive. Now I'm painting the pendulum, and I'm painting in the outline, but also I'm painting the edges of the painting of the two characters, as you can see. Why I'm painting just the edges? Because that's supposed where light is coming from. Remember previously when I was showing you the 3D assets models, we were observing that in the 3D lighting source we were having the lighting in the middle. So that is exactly what I'm doing right now. And also playing a little bit with the luminosity of this character that is not really convincing me, so I'm just gonna paint it a little bit more bright to be connecting the shadow of the background with the lighting of the fairy. So this is just a moment for you to explore. I think one of the most beautiful tools about life is exploration, discovering encounters, and deep connections. And it's the same with Clip Studio Paint. You must devote your time to sit down and explore. You must to dive into most of the features. You might not use all of them, but when you start discovering new features, your workflow becomes better. You start growing faster, you start making faster, having faster end results. You can also get not that stressful of like try and make mistakes. And here, like what I was doing, I was just exploring how to make this kind of cosmos pendulum effect, and it was just about opacity and glow dodge. So again, remember, curiosity also is part of resilience. We need curiosity because curiosity is part of the creative process. We are creative because we are curious about things. We must still do things beyond of what we see, hear, or know. And that's why we create. Creators create from the reality, from the outside part, from references and inspiration, from what we see, yes, but we combine them, and we came with a different and a new artwork. And that is what we are doing. And this is exactly the same what we need to do when we are having a struggle in our life. When we are struggling in our life on something or a problem, we need to come with a different solution. And there is a saying that if you want to come up with a different result, you cannot expect to do the same things always, because if you do the same things always, you will get exactly the same end result. So we must change, and this is exactly the same what is happening when we are exploring our expressive skills in painting, composition, and drawing. We must experiment, and of course the experiment part is always better when it's being experienced and lived through other, when it's in a company, when it's in a gathered group. It's beautiful, but also it's beautiful to have a solo journey discovering process, like 15 hours of just drawing. And sometimes things that might happen is that in life and in Clip Studio Paint, in our computer, something might be off. Sometimes the light power can be off and you just close without saving. Something can happen and you just close without saving, and you must start again. And so I also want to tell you, when you are drawing, when you are creating, you have the beautiful opportunity and gift that if it's something goes wrong, you must start again, but you are not going to be as slow as before. You are going to be faster because you're already going to have experience. You're going to have the memories of what you did, and now you have your own guide inside of you. You're going to have your own like wise person within you. And even this video that I'm sharing with you, I've recorded this multiple times because the first time I forget to record the voice recording, the second time I just closed without saving, the third time I just fell asleep. I was too tired. So I think I've been doing this like around 5 times, but I haven't given up. If I could have given up, you wouldn't be able to see this end result. And if I want to share something with the world, I must to crave and I must to get obsessed with this to be able to share this, even if I have struggles in the path. I just must see the brightest side of this. And I think that is also not only be optimist, but this is also changing and modeling your mindset to become a resourceful person. And right now, as a resourceful person, I'm just using glow dodge as always with a little bit of Gaussian blur to make this. Now, this light that you are watching and observing, this is a light draw with a glow dodge layer. I'm adjusting the coloring to be more magical. For me, magic is blue with purple. That is magic for me. So I'm just using those dreamy coloring. I just copy now and paste the previous the previous flowers. I using also the blur, the Gaussian blur, for make this more like breathable, feeling alive. And the light that you were watching before, it was because I wanted to have something, a deep connection in between me and my grandmother. In this case, those two characters are connected through a light that is coming from the top head of the character in the ground, going through the vision and the head and the corona of the old lady fairy. So now I'm just adjusting the final details, and those are about the lighting and moving a little bit the legs here, adjusting the saturation, the hue and saturation of the composition. And as you can see, something that also I care about is about contrast. I think everything we know is because of contrast. We cannot know that we don't like something until we like something else. Or we cannot know if I dislike something if I haven't tried that. And why do I know that I dislike something? Is because I know that I really like some other things. So again, drawing is a beautiful process for you to express yourself and be connected with your emotional health by expressing what you have in your inner world. You don't need really to share this with the world if you don't feel like, but at least you can allow yourself to explore and dive into your inner world. And now, again, my dear, I'm playing with this combo. Thank you very much. It's magic. This is magic. So have a beautiful time, my dear. I wish you the very best and see you in the next tutorial, in the next video, in the next message.